Hello, welcome to Playing D&D with YouTube. This is an experimental stream where I will attempt to play D&D with any and all participants. As we await our perhaps participants in the chat room, I'd like to say that I am going to be doing more experiments like this on my channel, so please let me know. Hello, Outlaw Lime. Hello, hello, hello. Wow, there's a lot of people here already. Okay. I was afraid that we were going to have to wait around. Please, somebody let me know that my voice is getting to you because I am reading your comments. And what we're going to do today is the same thing that I did last time. So somebody give a shout out. Okay, excellent. Good. So what we're going to do last time, when I did this on Reddit, I'm going to attempt to do the same thing. I'm going to attempt to incorporate the most of the comments that I read in the chat. So from now out, unless there's a technical error, please leave the chat to commands of trying to control the character. The character today is a composite creature known only as YouTube. You awaken. You do not see the sun. You are in the entrance of a dungeon complex. You look around you, your body is at once familiar and strange. You are one being, yet you are multitudes, hundreds of thousands of beings within the same body, each combating for control. Yet you have a singular purpose. You know instinctively that you must escape this dungeon. Is this a punishment? Is this a test? You do not know. All that you know is that you must use all of your instinct, all of your knowledge, and all of your craftiness, and all of the experience of your past lives as adventurers in order to get through this dungeon. You see before you darkness. As a being with multitudes within you, you have slight dark vision, but your dark vision is not perfect. A thought crosses your mind. You don't know what a chalice is. Well, you don't know exactly what that chalice is. You don't see any chalices in front of you. There's a dark hallway just beyond your vision. You can see two piles of garbage on either end of the door. And then the hallway opens up into a larger hallway. And at this point, you step forward slowly. There's nothing on the floor. It almost seems supernaturally clean. You look to the left and right. You see two piles of garbage. You reach out one of your arms to the garbage. You touch it. Many things clatter onto the floor. As it clatters to the floor, you look through and sift through the garbage. You find a small piece of horn. Not exactly useful as a weapon, but it could perhaps be used as a makeshift weapon. It's not any kind of interesting horn. You look again, perhaps you could see something more of value. You do keep the little bit of horn, though. 28. You search through the other pile. All you find is some scraps of fur. You look around, any metal that you see is just rotting and literally flaking off into little bits. There's nothing sturdy in this pile for weapons, apparently. Unluckily enough, you seem to look down at this small bit of horn in your hand, and you realize this is probably the most useful thing in this pile. You inspect the fur. It seems to be perhaps some sort of deer or stag fur. You're not quite sure. You've checked both piles at this point. There's nothing else you can find here. The fur is just matted and half rotted. There's not really anything of use. You move forward. You can see two doors, one on your left, one on your right. You look there, all the metal in the stack is just completely rusted out. There'd be no way of using it. It's literally rusted into pieces. As you turn right, all of a sudden you hear clattering down the hallway. Just out of your eyesight, you can see several forms rise up from the floor, and they slowly start to approach you. You open the right-hand door. It slides open. It's not unlocked. You look past. You see the creatures start to slowly make their way towards you. You look at the western door. It's far away. You're already in the left-hand door. You shut the door. The creatures kind of walk around outside. Apparently, whatever these things are, you can't actually... You don't really know. Oh, no. Hold on. The Dungeon Master needs to pull something up. You can find this. Apologies, guys. There's something missing here that I'm looking through all my notes for. Come on. Well. I had this 1 second ago. See, this is why this is an experimental thing. Okay. Apologies here. All right. You see a great machine. It is a monstrosity of metal parts. It seems to be made of coils of spring mechanics, all sorts of things. There's 2 large platforms that seem to be almost small rooms. You look to the left and right. In the middle, there is a small dial, and there's several little things on it. You see they are marked as coarse, fine, very fine, and 1-to-1 is in the middle. You inspect for traps. You do not find any traps. However, you do notice a small glowing bit of machinery on the wall near the machine. It has 5 little marks that are glowing softly as if some sort of mild magical effect. You set the cord and you put the horn in the left side of the machine. And you set the thing to coarse. You grab some of the rusted metal and you put it in there. You spin the dial randomly. It ends up at very fine again. There is a button that you assume activates the machine. You push the button. Suddenly there's a great whirring noise, clinks and clacks, and various just disturbing noises that you can't see where they're coming from. The machine hums and hums. All of a sudden it stops. The hopper on the left is empty. There appears to be something in the right. You approach and look. It appears to be a beautiful short sword. It has a horn handle and a gleaming metal blade, which seems to actually glow slightly. You grab the short sword. It feels light in your hand. You cast the Detect Evil spell. Everything whirs briefly. You detect no evil within this room. Beyond the door, those machines things, you feel a slight pulse of evil, but you're not exactly sure what type of email. Unfortunately, if you want to grab more metal, you will have to leave this room and the safety within. You put the fur in the side thing, press very fine. Once more you hear whirring noises. It's slightly different though. The machine clinks and gnaws. As you look, you can see a fur mantle is now within the other room. You don the fur mantle. You feel slightly different. All of a sudden, your form begins to change. You suddenly grow in size. And you lose your arms. You become a quadruped. You feel strange things growing on your head. Suddenly, as you kind of look around, you realize you've been changed fundamentally. You ram open the door springs open. You knock down, well, let's see here. Several of the creatures are knocked down and seemingly helpless as you rush out in your new oxen form. The other creatures wheel about and you are now in combat. The creatures go first. They rush towards you and start attacking. One of them stabs you with this horrific short sword. Its metal is all rusted and covered in disgusting stains. Some of your health is leaked away. In your new form, you suddenly feel slightly sick. You go into a series of actions. You rear up, swamp, and stomp at them at the same time, trying to stomp at the other one and stab through with your new horns. One of the creatures is stabbed thoroughly with their horns. The other one avoids you as you try to stomp on it. The other creatures go first before you act again. More hit points leave as one of these creatures stab you with its short sword. You coup de grace one of the downed creatures and attack one of the other ones with your horns. You miss. They attack you again. Another hit. More life leaves your body. Your new form, you feel it wavering. You attack. You miss again. Your new form is unfamiliar with you, and you are not. Another creature hits you with its sword. More life leaves your body. Your form is almost done. Okay. You know with your clumsy body, you would have to do a full action to retreat. You might be able to use your... You clumsily move forward and use your action to retreat. However, you are too clumsy in your new form to shut the door behind you. The creatures slowly start moving in again. You push the button, however, with nothing in the thing, nothing in the hopper, nothing seems to happen. You charge with your new form. The first creature is knocked down and falls into pieces. However, the other creature runs in on his unsteady metal legs and tries to attack you. His attack misses. These creatures, now that you're attacking them, seem to be some sort of like mechanical creatures. Their eyes are glowing a dull red color. You try to impale the remaining creature with your horns. He avoids it. He slams his short sword against you. And he misses. You try to physically just slam it against the doorway. He opposes this. He succeeds. He attacks you with a short sword once again. It's a 4 and does not hit. You attempt to impale this last creature again. And you miss. The creature attacks you with a short sword. And he misses. This awkward combat in the doorway, neither of you are attacking. You attempt to rear back and just attack him with your full body weight. And you hit. You smash the creature into the ground, and it smashes into pieces. You see the remaining ones. You look into your inventory. You have no inventory right now. You are still a oxen creature. All the creatures seem to be on the floor are helpless and non-moving. Apparently, once they are fallen on the floor, they are unable to get back up. You grab one of the bodies. It is clear that one of the bodies is not going to fit into the machine. However, if you want to take one of the torsos from one of the creatures that you tore into pieces, that would fit into the body. That would fit into the hopper, rather. You take a second and just stomp them into oblivion, just to make sure they're not going to get back up. You put the torso in one of the machines. It appears you have to change and make sure that the needle is turned to something. The machine seems to have reset. You put it... You consider either coarse or very fine, coarse or very fine. You set it to coarse, and you press the button. There's a clanging noise, a banging noise. In the other end, you can see there is now just a selection of different metals. Some steel, some copper, some unidentifiable metal that you don't quite understand what it is. They seem to be neat little bricks. You put the bricks in the machine, and you set it to very fine. You do not press the button. You're considering pressing the button. You press the button. A very different sound happens. There's just a clattering and a horrible You can see that now within the hopper is empty. The metal bars have been transformed. You look in the other right-handed hopper. You can see what seems to be some sort of intricate robotic head. It seems incredibly sophisticated. The rest of these creatures actually seem somewhat... you attempt to put the head on as a helmet. You cannot do it because it's full of mechanical stuff. Oh, plus you are still an ox, which would be incredibly difficult to do anything. You do a perception check. You realize there's only one light remaining. You attempt to speak to the head. It remains dull and lifeless. You attempt to brofist the head. Your hoof kind of just stays out there for a second before you realize there's nothing else. You attempt to kiss the head. It's very awkward, as you are a bovine. You head through the western door. You look, the door is shut. It seems to be covered in vines and kind of plant bracken of some sort. You ram through the door. In your current form, you're easily able to run through the door. You see, you're in a room that is dominated with roots. Roots cover this floor. There is a large pile of vines covering something in the corner. It's very difficult to actually, look around and see what's going on. You consider running into the thing in the corner of the room. You eat some of the roots. They actually make you feel a little bit better in your current form. You slowly approach the vines in the corner. You take a look. You inspect it. There seems to be some sort of chest completely wrapped up in green vines. You nibble on some more roots. You feel slightly better. You attempt to eat roots on the wrapped up chest. You feel invigorated. However, at the same time, there's a shudder that goes through the room as soon as you cut through one of the vines. Brambly forms start to appear from various parts of the room as vague humanoid-like features all of a sudden reach up from the ground and start attacking you. You go first. You see 3 kind of forms all covered in vines and stuff. You would charge the first one and attempt to tear its head off with your teeth. You hit. The creature is very badly damaged. They close in and attack you with their viney, twiggy arms. Only one manages to hit you, but only does slight damage. You stomp on one of the creatures. And you miss horribly. They swing at you. Only one hits. For minimum damage. Oop. You slam down again. Another miss. Creatures attack you. They all miss you. You attempt to gore the creature. And you critically fail. Let's see here. That's not it. Whoop. You fall slightly, giving the creatures an advantage on their next attack. However, even with that advantage, they still somehow avoid your attack. You avoid their attacks, rather. You spend your bonus action to snack on another vine. You feel slightly better and attempt to stab them with your horns. You miss yet again. You let out a roar to try to intimidate the creatures as they attack you. They seem confused, and all their attacks miss. You attempt to sweep your horns around in a sweeping attack. Ooh, that actually worked. Two of the creatures are knocked off their feet. You attempt to stomp on one of the creatures while at the same time trying to take a bite out of the one that you damaged earlier. You stomp one of the creatures and its body just explodes into vines. You tear off the head of one of the other creatures and chew it. As one of its... Only one creature remains. And it tries to attack you. And misses. You turn your attention towards the vines on the chest and attempt to eat them. You eat the vines on the chest, the last little bit of vines. Give you some energy. The vines disappear. As they do, the other creature falls apart. The other guy left falls apart, unfortunately. And it is at this point that your whatever spell was affecting you ends as you turn back to your normal, strange self. You once again recover that fancy short sword. You look around. You look within the chest. There are 100 gold coins within it, as well as one strange coin. Other than that, the chest is empty. The roots that were covering this room slowly go away. The time for doing a nature check was probably about 10 minutes ago. There's no point doing a nature check now as the roots are all rapidly dissolving. You take the chest and start to walk over to the machine. You put the chest in the machine. You study the strange coin. It's a large coin. It's about almost a quarter of a foot in diameter. You set the machine to very fine. At this point, you attempt to put the chest in there. The chest is a little bit too large to fit in the machine. You set the gold into the machine and set it to fine mode. Is when you attempt to put the strange coin in the machine, all of a sudden it's like a force field. The strange coin will not go into the machine at all. You take the mechanical bits out of the head, and you wear it as a helmet. History check on the coin. This coin bears no historical significance that you're aware of. You hit the button. There's another whirring noise. All of a sudden, it's almost like a chugging train trying to go up a hill. There's a bunch of activity. All of a sudden, it stops. The coins are gone. You look in the other hopper, and there's another strange coin similar to the one you already found. You now have two strange coins. You do not have any more gold. You lick the strange coin. It does not taste like any coin you've licked before. You exit. There's no way to attach the coins to your shoulders. You consider smashing the machine, but it seems to be completely inert and without power. You attempt to eat the coin. It's far too big to fit down your throat. You look to the next set of doors. To the left is a closed oak door. To the right is a pine door. You flip a coin, and you consider the coins to actually look pretty much exactly the same. You open the pine door, you can see 3 beds within. One, a seemingly normal bed, as if you would find in an inn. You find one that's covered in a rough cloth, and you find another that's covered in a wolf pelt. You consider taking a nice nap. However, you have to choose which bed. You look under the bed. You can see under the bed, covered with the rough covering, there is a lever. You grab the wolf pelt bed. You attempt to eat it, but then decide to wear it instead. You pull the thing. A secret door behind the beds opens up. Within, you can see a fountain with a large face. In front of the fountain are 5 buttons. Oop. Sorry, trying to catch up on comments there. You attempt to sleep under the bed. It does not work. There's not enough room under the bed. You click the first button. All of a sudden, a voice rings out. You throw away the outside and cook the inside. And then you eat the outside and throw away the inside. The fountain has no water. You attempt to put one of the coins in the fountain and it just kind of clinks there. Nothing happens. You press the next button. Give me food and I will live. Give me water and I will die. A history check will do you no good here. As soon as you say fire, a firebolt suddenly spits out from the mouth of the statue. It flies by you and smashes against the wall. You still get hit by some damage. A tiny part of your body is singed slightly. You spit into the fountain with disgust. Two of the buttons have been pressed. There is no water in the fountain. You repeatedly scream fire as you mosey out of the way. Nothing happens. You click the next button. There's some mechanical noises briefly as almost somebody... Oh, this is a tough one. They have not flesh, nor feathers, nor scales, nor bone, yet they have fingers and thumbs of their own. You punch the fountain with frustration. Ah, that's good enough. All of a sudden, a set of gauntlets gets spit out of the statue's face. They're both gauntlets and gloves. They're gloves with kind of gauntlets built upon them. You put them on. You feel like you're stronger, like you can move a little bit faster. You check the gloves as they're on your hands. They appear to be some sort of magical gloves. You attempt to do an Arcana check. You're not exactly sure what these gloves are, but they don't seem to be... cursed or have negative effects. You look around, the mantle that you put on seems to have actually disappeared. You attempt to shake the fountain like a vending machine. No goodies fall out. You attempt to snap and escape the dungeon in that fashion, but it does not work. There are no slots on the gloves. You flip the coin again. Nothing happens. There is another button. You click the button. Two brothers we are, great burden we bear, by which we are bitterly pressed. In truth, we may say, we are full all the day, but empty we go to our rest. As you think about this, there is nothing else in the room. Nothing seems to happen. Apparently, none of your guesses are correct. You say all your guesses, but nothing happens. If you wish, it looks like you can press the button again. Oh, you press the first button again. You press the first button again. The DM is angry because he has to look through all these. The first button is pressed. You throw away the outside and cook the inside. Then you eat the outside and throw away the inside. What did you eat? I will say somebody came close last time. But it is a very specific. It has to be a very specific. It would be an egg if you were watching your cholesterol. It would be an egg, but unfortunately the answer is not egg. All of a sudden, a squawking chicken is spit out from the mouth and starts running around the room sporadically, balking, clearly confused and agitated. You attempt to grab the chicken. The chicken escapes you. It seems preternaturally fast. It's very difficult to catch. You attempt to choke the chicken, a disgusting act, yet one that you will have to do if you want to eat it. You try to kill it. Nothing happens. You try to swing it with your sword. The chicken escapes you easily. You attempt to calm the chicken down by befriending it. You attempt to use your animal handling. The chicken suddenly. You cast Bane on the chicken. Your animal handling works. The chicken slowly approaches you. You attempt to redo the first one. Apparently only works once. The chicken seems calmer. You can see the chicken has something tied around its leg. You look around. You have no bag. You put a bro fist up to the chicken. You cast Speak with Animals. You can now speak with animals. All right. You attempt to untie the thing around its leg. He's like, I don't know. I'm chicken. Get this thing off my leg. You take the thing, you find out that it is a potion of healing. The chicken thanks you profusely. Do I have a chicken miniature? That's the question. Do I have a chicken miniature? I don't have a chicken miniature. I should have a chicken miniature. Considering all the miniatures that I own, a chicken miniature should be one of them. Yeah, I don't have a miniature for it. It's pretty much not. The chicken does not know much about the dungeon. The chicken was taken down here and ensorcelled into this machine. The chicken has a quick conversation. Being a chicken, there's not much they really know. Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. See the cockatrice miniature. There we go. This is way too big. Do this. Okay. All right. All right. Let's see here. I'm not reaching consensus. There's no consensus about the chicken. The chicken only knows that there was some sort of great evil thing that was put in the door further up. Other than that, the door to your west, apparently, the chicken doesn't know anything about that. However, the the door to the right, the chicken thinks. You did not. The newly named Steve the Chicken. Now, Steve the Chicken now accompanies you on your quest. Not much of a combatant, but perhaps be of some use. You press. You press the fourth button again. Okay, so I heard drink the potion a couple times, so let's go ahead. You drink the healing potion, you regain your missing health. Dark parts of your brain consider hurting Steve the Chicken, but you decide not to. You press the fourth button again. Two brothers we are, great burden we bear, by which we are bitterly pressed. In truth, we may say, we are full all the day, but empty we go to our rest. Yeah, there's no consensus to hurt Steve, so... The red and blue stones represent your health and spell slots. The chicken, Steve, slowly saunters away as around and walks around for a little bit and comes back and says, there's not much. There's three more doors. One of them is a very rickety looking door. You talk to Steve. He does not know the answer to any of the riddles. He is actually seemingly a normal-ish chicken. You go across the hallway. There's an oaken door there. Steve just kind of looks at the coin. It's far too big for an average chicken to eat. You pat Steve in the head real quick. You look at the other door. The door does not seem to have a lock. It looks like you can just open it. Or kick it down. The thought of kicking it down and throwing Steve inside slowly crosses your head. The robot helmet is far too large for the chicken. You listen at the door. It is deadly silent within. There's absolutely no noise. You open the door. The room seems to be empty except for 3 glowing pillars. You slowly and stealthily sneak in. As soon as you walk into the door, a ghostly figure appears. And a dead body materializes on the ground in front of you. The ghostly figure begins to speak.
Even in this place, there must be justice. A great crime has been committed. 2 of these are liars, and 1 tells the truth. Show me the hand that is guilty of murder, and prove you're in the service of justice.
The ghostly figure gestures, and 3 different figures pop into place in the pillars. One of them a human in plate armor, one of them a male elf, and one of them a female dressed in leather. You hear a clunk in the room opposite of you. In the far-off riddle room. Steve stays where he is. You try to persuade him to move. The giant figure does not understand your question. He is searching for justice. Steve just kind of does the chicken equivalent of shrugging his shoulders. Steve does not know what's going on here. The ghost repeats itself. A great crime has been committed. 2 of these are liars. 1 of them tells the truth. Show me the hand that is guilty of murder, and prove you are in the service of justice. You question the male elf. He activates momentarily and says, Leandra the scout did it. I saw her do it. You inspect their hands. They all appear to be empty and clean. There's no trace of anything on their hands. You already talked to the male elf. You poke at the dead body. As you do so, it appears to be that there's some sort of journal underneath him. You inspect it further. The journal is torn, halfway burnt. It says, on the final page, my fellow traveler Renaud is good to have around, but he seems to have some sort of imbalance in his mind that causes him to lie whenever he is under stress. I have learned to deal with this strangeness. You look at the human in plate armor. He says, I don't know who did this. All I can say is that I did not. You look at the female. She says, the elf Renaud is lying. You attempt to intimidate him. However, you quickly realize that these are merely some sort of these are merely some sort of illusions, and they only say the one sentence. You consider the options. You look towards the elf suspiciously. You look towards the female dressed in leather suspiciously. You look, none of them seem to have any sort of paper. You talk to the male elf. He says nothing but the same thing. He says, Leandra the scout did it. I saw her do it. You look at the corpse's face. It seems to be have sort of stuck in a rickus of surprise. You slap the corpse's head in frustration. You attempt to do an inside check, however, it doesn't seems to be. You attempt to comfort the elf, however, you quickly realize that they are stuck in some sort of stasis and they only repeat the same sentence. You attempt to intimidate the ghost. He is not very intimidated. You look at the corpse's clothes. He seems to have been killed with a stab to the back. You gaze seductively on the giant ghost. He stares stone-faced back. You attempt to hit the elf. It does not work. None of the creatures seem to be physically here. They seem to be some sort of illusions. As a gentle reminder, you are attempting to figure out who is guilty of the crime of murder. You see that the human in armor has a long sword, and the female dressed in leather has a short dagger. You dance briefly to jog your memory. You look at Steve. Steve just shakes his head. You look at the elf. He does not seem to have any obvious weapons. You attempt to examine the wound on the corpse. The wound is a very deep wound. About almost a full half a foot deep. The wound does not go all the way through. The large ghost creature repeats himself. A great crime has been committed. 2 of these are liars, and 1 of them tells the truth. Show me the hand that is guilty of this crime, and prove that you are in the service of justice. You gaze suspiciously at the elf. The wound was located in the back. The human says, I don't know who did this. All I can say is that I didn't. The wound is in his upper back. You gaze back and forth between the human and the elf. Real quick here, somebody started calling the human a paladin. There's nothing to suggest that he is any sort of paladin. He's wearing heavy armor, heavy plate armor, but he has there's no symbols of any kind of deity upon him. So I don't know why everybody started calling him a paladin. He's just a human in plate armor. You perception check the room again. Unfortunately, you do not see anything new. The ghost says, 2 of these are liars. 1 of them tells the truth. Show me the hand that is guilty of the crime of murder, and prove you are in the service of justice. None of them appear to have any wounds. As you look at the creatures again, the human in plate armor, who is a fighter, says, I don't know who did this. All I can say is that I didn't. The male elf states, Leandra the scout did it. I saw her do it. And the other one, a female dressed in leather, says, the elf, Ronald, is lying. It is a... you kind of look, and you see... It is a pretty messy wound. You're not quite sure exactly what the implement was. You glance between the human and the elf. There are only 3 people within the room that could be guilty of the crime. The human fighter in plate armor, a male elf, and a female human dressed in leather. You glance over at Steve. Steve is staying out of this. You attempt to cast a spell in this room. However, as soon as you do, anti-magic runes start to glow from the ceiling, floor, and walls. You realize you cannot cast any spells within this room. The creature raises up his hand. The time is up. I need a consensus. So, through consensus, you almost state that the elf did it. However, other voices in your head rise and say, it was the human. The creature says, justice has been done, and disappears. Everything in the room disappears, leaving a single large coin on the floor. You pick up the coin. You now have 3 strange coins. The coin looks pretty much exactly the same as the other one. It's kind of just plain, just large. You go back to the fountain. There are a pair of fanciful shoes upon the ground. You pick up the shoes. You hug Steve, and you tell him that we got scared for him. Steve just kind of looks at you confused. You put the fancy shoes on. You see the word fancy inscribed on the shoes as you press the final button. What runs around a city but never moves? You give Steve the shoes. They magically transform so they fit him. Steve, the chicken, now has magical shoes on. As soon as you say the word wall, a potion clunks down from the fountain. You drink the potion, all of a sudden, your skin turns grayish. You seem to slow down slowly. You inspect the empty potion. Steve struts around in his new shoes. He seems somewhat proud. Being a creature of many different things, you recognize that this is not exactly a stone skin spell, but perhaps some sort of similar spell. You're slow, but you can still move somewhat normally. You keep the empty body. I'm sorry, you keep the empty bottle. You look up. You walk out of the door. There seems to be 2 rooms left. You look at the room to the right. It's a massive, like strangely brown metal door. You look at the rickety door. The rickety door seems to be made out of scraps of some sort. You are stuck between a giant metal door. You experimentally look at the door. It seems like it actually it's kind of like a garage door. You actually push it up into the ceiling, and you look at the rickety door. The rickety door is just that, a rickety door. You are of 2 minds. You have several things going through your head. You'll have to come up with some sort of consensus of what you want to do next. I heard check for traps. But there's a door. Stopper so you can swallow through. Place something in the door so it clutch. I'm still getting equal things like metal door, garage door. Okay. You activate car door. You push up the metal door. There's a clicking noise. It opens and kind of locks into place. You look around for something to prop it open, but you don't see anything. Steve is not willing to leave the door propped open. The metal door is now open. Steve walks in. Well, he kind of just struts in with his new shoes. He looks around and comes back and says he does not see anything. As you look in, the stone is slightly different. The stone in this room is actually tinged a weird color purple. You check for traps. There does not appear to be any traps within this area. You sneakily walk in. Nothing seems to attract your attention. However, when you turn the corner, you look. There is a small table with a couple items on it, and there is a great mural that looks to be built into the wall itself, depicting a sorcerer king standing on a field of wheat with a bird flying in the background. You attack the wall. A small bit of purple dust falls to the floor. You rush in. You attack the mural. There's a clicking noise as you press in with your short sword. The Sorcerer King's chest depresses for a sec, as if it's a button. You inspect the table. The table has a small note and another one of those coins. You eat the dust. You feel slightly bad. You gather some of the dust from the wall. You read the note. Grovel before the king, before you partake in his bounty and fauna. You grovel. You collect some more dust. The painting is actually a fresco that seems to be actually built within the wall itself. You kneel, nothing happens. You flip off the king, nothing happens. Steve shakes his head no. You kneel, nothing happens. You inspect the painting. It seems like parts of it are actually poking outward, like it's 3D. You press the king's feet. There is a clicking noise. You cast Detect Magic. There is indeed a little bit of magic within this room. You're not exactly sure what. You can sense illusion magic in the hallway behind you. You press the wheat. There is another clicking noise. You were about to pat on the mural when you paused for a second, realizing you would have to decide what you would click next. You inspect the hallway with your Detect Magic. You can see there's an illusionary wall opposite of the room that you're in. You read the note again. Grovel before the king before you partake in his bounty and fauna. You've already clicked on the field of wheat. You grab a handful of dust and throw it into the illusionary wall. The wall disappears. Beyond it, you can see a dark room with some sort of hunched figure, a large, large figure. You press the duck. There's another clicking noise. Something seems to have changed, but you're not exactly sure what. You consider attacking the strange figure. Steve shakes his head. He's not exactly sure what's going on. You rear back to hit the figure. But you pause. You try pressing the king's crown, the Sorcerer King's crown. It doesn't do anything. Nothing responds. The figure doesn't say anything. There's no other animal in the picture. Steve backs away. You throw dust at the figure. Nothing happens. The figure is not breathing. You do not have a light source. You can attempt to investigate the figure. You cast the light spell before you... The motionless figure looks kind of like this. Which YouTube is not good at this. YouTube, why you gotta be like this? There we go. That's what the figure looks like. You attempt to investigate the figure. Ooh, that is a 2. You clumsily somehow manage to activate the figure with your investigation. The figure springs to life. Dull, reddish purple eyes open as the figure begins to attack you. It goes first. The figure slashes at you with its claws. It does nothing, though, as you duck away. You are now in combat with the figure. You disengage and run around the corner. You throw the bottle of dust at the figure as you're going away. It doesn't seem to do anything. You say, "Pocket sand," as you throw the dust at the creature. You're not sure if it does anything. As this happens, Steve the chicken begins to do a dance. Even around the corner, you kind of glance over, confused, as Steve the chicken starts to do an intricate dance. The shoes on Steve the chicken's feet start to glow. The strange dog figure starts to dance along with Steve, as if compelled. The creature is beginning to dance. After doing this, Steve dances over to you and kind of looks at you. It's the creature's turn. The creature keeps on dancing. You do a little dance as well, but realize you need to take another action, perhaps, other than dancing. You run up to the dancing figure and stab him with your short sword. You got a natural 1. Oop. But it just dinks off it. There's nothing really bad happens. The figure is still dancing helplessly. Oop. Yep. Figure continues to dance. It is your turn. Steve continues to dance, and the figure continues to dance. You try to cast a spell, but you realize that you don't have any spell slots left. You stab the figure. You stab the figure very, very well with your short sword. You realize its flesh is made out of some terracotta that is covering some sort of mechanical body. You stab deeply with your fancy short sword. Sparks and squealing noises happen. You seem to have damaged this creature. It seems to be some sort of mechanical being. Steve continues to dance. The creature attempts to break the dancing spell. The creature continues to dance. It is your turn again. You grab your other vial of dust and you pour it within the creature. Some sort of grinding noise takes place. You realize that the creature's delicate innards have been suddenly just screwed up by this dust that you threw within it. Its motions become erratic. Steve continues to dance. The creature is still trying to dance awkwardly as this dust starts to affect its inner gears and there's squealing noises. You consider what your next action is. You kick the creature and try to stab it again. Your stab does not work at all. Steve continues to dance. The creature attempts to stop the spell. The creature does not stop the spell. You get to do something else. You try to aim your next attack and try to slam your short sword into one of its exposed gear. Sadly, not enough. Your short sword is blocked aside by the creature's erratic movements. Steve keeps on dancing. The creature attempts to break the spell. The creature breaks the spell. It stops dancing. You realize that with your form, it's very difficult for you to expel wastes. You consider stabbing it. You realize peeing on it isn't an option at this point, as a multitude of creatures within one body. Trying to expel waste in such a manner would be a difficult thing. You consider dancing or trying with your short sword again. You apparently decide to start dancing. You start dancing. Steve attempts to dance again, but apparently, whatever spell, once they break the spell, it can't affect them so soon. The creature slams out with its claws and hits you. Ooh, that's no good. 2, 3, 4, 6. Its claws slam into you, dealing an enormous amount of damage. The table is too far away to grab it. The creature doesn't respond to any kind of thing. You attempt to throw your wolf pelt over the creature's face. The creature tries to avoid it. Ooh. The wolf pelt goes over its face. The creature immediately stops moving. Steve doesn't know what to do. You use your sword to stab it and try to get in there with your hands to try to do something. You stab through more of the terracotta flesh of this thing and just try to, like, grab within the gears to try to do something. You scream out 1011101110000111. Nothing happens. The creature is still unmoving. Steve's confused. It is your turn again. You run around in a circle and scream at it. The creature lurches around. The creature seems to be confused and is kind of moving around confusingly. You use your sword again to try to jam more of its gears. You are not able to do so. There's nothing you have to light the wolf pelt on fire. You look around, there's nothing behind the creature. It's just a small room. You go to the table and you bash it. The table breaks apart, leaving several large chunks of wood and legs. You consider using the wrestling move Power Bomb on it, but the creature is far too large for such a maneuver. You regret that there's no way to start a fire. You grab a large chunk of the wood. You grab one of the table legs and try to shove it within the gears. There's immediate tearing noise as this creature starts to tear itself apart. The table leg starts to get shredded, but it's still a very sturdy oaken table leg, and the creature starts moving around erratically, hitting everything within its distance. You duck its latest attack. The creature seems to be tearing itself apart. You look around, there's absolutely nothing you have to start a fire. You're out of spell slots. You consider becoming an actuary. You consider stabbing in the butt, but it's moving around so much it'd be difficult to hit. You move aside and grab another table leg and attempt to shove it in within next to this other one. Your other table leg gets shredded. The creature moves around. You throw more chunks of wood, trying to figure out a way to stop its inner workings from working. You move back to the table, grab one of the remaining legs, and attempt to throw it like a javelin. It dings on the outside of the creature. You are out of dust. You have one more table leg left. The creature is seemingly, looks like it's trying to recover, but it's still kind of just moving around erratically. You say various words for stop, halt, decrease. You run aside and smash the creature with your remaining table leg. The table leg smashes into the creature's front leg. It immediately tips over to the left, smashing against the small room, bounding back and forth as if like there's some sort of spring system that has gone horribly wrong. The creature just shatters to death as it do so. Little bits of metal and terracotta and small gems just suddenly explode out from it. You try to duck. You do so. Okay. You take a small amount of damage as the creature's body flies apart. You are still alive. You look at the small gems. They seem to be small, little, like, ruby-type gems. You gather all the gems. You give a gem to Steve. He immediately eats it, as chickens normally do eat small rocks to help them with their digestion. You grab a gear as a war trophy. You lick a gem. You've had better. Steve just kind of shrugs. You grab your wolf pelt back. It's a little bit shredded, but it's still serviceable. You attempt to crush one of the gems. It's far too difficult to do, though, without any sort of specialized tools. Seeing nothing else of interest here, you walk up and realize there's only one door left, the very, very rickety door. The creature itself is in little bits. There's just bits of terracotta, random bits of metal, and the gems which you already picked up. You look at the rickety door in front of you. Against your better nature, you both open and sort of kick open the rickety door before checking with traps. Immediately, a gigantic vial of acid falls to the floor and explodes in a huge radius. You attempt to dodge it. You do not dodge it. 4, 5, 6, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, no way. Okay, you guys just saw that, right? You guys just saw that. I did that legit. You are covered in horrible acid. Steve, however. Steve. Okay, I wish I would have rolled that. He got a nat 20. Steve got a nat 20 on his dodge. Steve jumps aside, completely avoiding the acid, while you get covered and you are almost dead. Your body is just leaking this green acid. Steve just kind of shakes his head at you. You look, you can see a door with 3 different slots in it. And you can instantly tell that they are the same diameter as the large coins that you found. You know what? Steve the Chicken is going to be the next character here. You place the coins in the slots. You go back and you take a short rest. Let's see here. You can use your barbarian. 3, 12, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you regain the thing. You go back to the door. You put the coins in. The door slowly rumbles up, and you can see a set of stone stairs ascending into the light. You consider throwing Steve into the acid, but you understand that he was actually instrumental in you not dying against that foo dog beast. You walk into the light. It's not heaven, but it is outside. You find yourself in a pleasant-looking field. There seems to be a series of pine trees in the distance and a small pond. It looks like you have escaped to this dungeon. Congratulations, everyone.
Almost. West Virginia. I'm on my... Oh. Down in the valley, valley so low, hang your head over, hear the wind blow.
You walk onto the soft grass, looking at the cloudy, pleasant sky. You look down and Steve looks up at you. And you realize that rather than this being the end, this is only the beginning of your adventures. Steve immediately goes to the nearest damper patch of grass and immediately starts trying to eat several small bugs and worms as he scratches the ground. Well, congratulations, everyone. YouTube has managed to escape their first dungeon. And other than your apparent addiction to snorting gems, you guys actually did a pretty good job escaping this dungeon. Yes, next time you're going to go try to kill Tiamat. Good game, everybody. This was a fun little adventure. Yeah. I think getting turned into the oxen thing was definitely the one thing I didn't accept. I didn't really know that was going to happen. Oh yeah, Steve's basically a companion at this point. He still has his magical shoes on, so Steve the chicken might be very useful for the next adventure that you have. You're not sure what world you're in. It appears to be the Forgotten Realms, but... I need a chicken miniature. That is 100% true. I'm very disappointed that I don't have one. I might have to make one. You look at his shoes. They are preternaturally, mystically shiny. These magical shoes are always very, very shined up and ready to go. Yeah, you have like one spell slot left. You cast Identify on the boots. They appear to be boots of dancing, where if you start dancing, you can magically compel one creature to dance as long as they do not make a wisdom saving throw. And they will continue to dance and do nothing else as long as you're dancing and doing nothing else. I'm not going to do this as a regular scheduled thing unless, I don't know, maybe in the future I will. But as of now, it's just basically a kind of a random thing. I don't think this is going to be a video, but I will save it maybe as a private video and then put it in a playlist, I think. That would be good. Yeah, I always get surprised when I put the SCP machine in there. Like, it's always interesting what people do because you get random items. Like, I have several random item charts, so I'm never sure like what the players who go into this dungeon are going to have. So yeah, people always do something very interesting. If you have the magical dancing shoes, yes, you can choose the dance. It would be very, very difficult to do a 3D printed model of a chicken, I think, at 28 millimeters. So, I don't know. I thought I had something similar to a chicken, but I might have to actually just sculpt one. All right, then. All right, well, I'm glad everybody enjoyed. If you have any comments about this, I'll be doing a post in my community tab when I put up the playlist for this. This probably won't be available for a while because I've been streaming for like an hour and a half. So hopefully it'll save it correctly and I will be able to put it in my community tab in a playlist and people will be able to do this up. Well, thank you for going. I enjoy... There was a lot of really creative stuff that happened with this. So thank you all for participating. You all have a very great weekend. If you are in the United States, have a very good Labor Day. Remember to appreciate your time off. And as always, please support your local public library. Thank you. And once again, I will be doing this again. However, I don't have a set schedule yet. So... if you're interested in the charts that I use are all linked in my video, the 10 things that I cannot live without when DMing. I believe all the charts are actually linked in that video that you can download them mostly. I know the one main chart that I always use, that is definitely linked there. So check out that video, the top 10 things I cannot live without when DMing D&D. So, all right then. Well, I am going to end this before it gets past 1:35 there. So you all have a very nice evening, and thanks again for participating. Goodbye.